All right, so I finished my run here for training. I've just started the half, and whew, I'm out of shape as far as running goes. So I got work to do. Um, I thought I'd maybe touch on a little bit the whole concept of family and spouse and how that stuff works. I think that it can be really challenging for people, especially close to us, to really understand or know how to act or react or to empathize or to act appropriately or not, because there's such a stigma associated with what we all deal with. And as a result, your family sometimes can be some of the most disappointing people around you because they just don't get it. So I'm here to tell you that it's okay, and I completely relate, because there's been times where my family did not. It's taken a lot of work and a lot of communication, but they have started to get it. I think that people have asked about my wife and I, and yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say that this was my illness was and my disorders and different issues that I had were obstacles. I think I wrote a letter or message to one of the gals on the Facebook page that, my counselor once told my wife and I that we had to get over the fact that this was an imposition. It just was. Having an illness like this is going to be a pain in the butt, and you need to stop trying to make it not and just deal with it and accept that it is. That's probably the first step from a relationship perspective that has to happen, and that is there has to be an agreement that it exists. It's there. It's real. It's not pretend. It's not make-believe. It's not because someone just doesn't feel good or they don't feel right. It's a fundamental part of the chemistry of your brain and how your brain is functioning and operating at that certain given moment in time. So I think that's you got to get there first. They got to believe you, and they got to at least attempt to empathize. Because if they don't, it's not worth spending any time. You're at ground zero. But to get off of that, I think for my wife and I was to get over this fact that I felt guilty for having an illness. Because all the guilt did was made me feel terrible, and she would be frustrated because she didn't understand why I reacted certain ways. And really it boiled down to was we just needed to accept one another where we were at. And I think this is lessons that certainly play into not just when you have a mood disorder, but just in a marriage as a whole. I was divorced. My wife was too. I met actually my wife on eHarmony is how I met her. Been 8 years ago. And had it not been for, that clearly was the catalyst that got me back, because I don't know if I'd have probably gotten married again that soon. But more importantly is my illness resurfaced and went bonkers. I was undiagnosed in my previous marriage. I had issues, tendencies, things that went on. I was in manias where I would just work for days at a time. I could work for 2 days straight, things like that. That was just classic bipolar behavior. And I didn't know any better or any different. Didn't know I had a problem, didn't know I needed any help. And when my wife came